Recording in progress.
Good morning. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Tuesday, December 12th meeting of the St. Joseph County Board of Commissioners. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our first item on the agenda is our accounts payable docket. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item is our consent agenda regarding the Laredo agreement. Mr. Mish, do you have anything to add to that?
So these come up relatively often. We're going to end up putting the same terms generally, so we'll end up doing these on a consent agenda from here on out. I know you guys wanted to discuss this openly the first time we did it, but typically these were previously approved by a separate board that has been disbanded, so it'll be coming to the commissioners from here on out.
Thank you for that clarification. Any questions or comments from the commissioners?
Negative.
If not, do we have approval to approve the consent agenda regarding the Laredo agreement?
Yeah, regarding the reorder, is that what she said? The recorder.
Yes.
Yeah, right, that's what I thought too. Motion to approve this consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next are reappointments to the Drainage Board, John Lynn and John Summers. I'll open the floor for nominations.
I nominate John Lynn and John Summers.
Second.
There being no other nominations, call for a vote to reappoint them.
Motion to vote to reappoint them.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next is Resolution R-26-C-2023, moving the Navarre Cabin from Leaper Park to the History Museum campus.
I think we have people from the History Museum here. You're up to the microphone. You have 15 minutes. No, just however you want to do it.
Thank you so much, and thank you to Commissioner Dieter and Commissioner Baxmeyer for sponsoring this
We
resolution.
need your name and address for the record.
Of course. Christy Erickson, my address is 3806 Appaloosa Lane, South Bend. I won't take 15 minutes.
No, you got like 3. We're very busy.
That's
today.
totally fine. So, as I'm sure you're already aware, we are seeking to move the Navarre Cabin from Leaper Park to the History Museum's campus. Its current location in Leaper Park is its 4th location. It's been moved several times to make way for other things in the park. We are seeking a certificate of appropriateness from the Historic Preservation Commission, as the park is considered historic and requires that approval in order to be moved. Since the cabin is not originally part of that, we feel it's an appropriate use of its educational purpose to move it to our campus. What we'd like to do is create an interpretive site with outbuildings and other immersive experiences for our public and for schools in order to make that a much more useful building, kind of fulfilling its original purpose. We saved the cabin in 1895 in order to use it for education and feel it can be much better used for that purpose on our site. It's difficult for us to do things like field trips with our mini school groups at a place with no working restrooms and no extra buildings where we can store things. So what we're looking to do is, you can go see a trading post or a blacksmith shop or interpretation from the local native people, as well as, if it rains, have an alternative site inside the museum and see all the other things we have to offer. At the History Museum site, you'll still be able to see it free of charge during the day, or visit the library along with their other wonderful services, get a free pass to the museum, and see that free of charge too. So we feel it would be much more accessible by the public, and be much more in the community's interest for education on our site. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
You need to take a breath first, or? No, it was awesome. I agree 100%. It's to make it more viable for everything that goes on, especially everything that the museum does, which is phenomenal. And Mr. Mish will tell us where the original site of the Navarre Cabin?
On Portage Avenue, next to your
Never,
house?
never, no. But no, we're 100% in that. And again, if you have not been to the campus, you should attend. I would assume most people have. There'll be a lot of artifacts from Portage Manor will be headed your way once we continue on there. So I'm in 100% support of this.
Thank you.
Appreciated meeting you the other night
Yeah.
and filling me in even more about the history and why this is a good idea, and we're glad to support it.
Of course.
Yeah, and I'm just glad, too, that it's going to be enhancing the educational opportunities and that the History Museum campus. Yes.
All right, thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much.
If there are no other questions, do we have a motion to approve the resolution regarding the moving of the Navarre Cabin from Leaper Park to the History Museum campus?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you
Aye.
vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Moving on to procurement, approval of the Collins settlement.
You can stay if you want. Okay, all right.
All right, all right, take care.
Good morning, Commissioners. Bree Roberts with offices on the 7th floor of this building, Director of Procurement. Before you is a stipulation agreement approved by the Workers' Compensation Board. Total settlement amount would be $29,940, and this has been reviewed by legal as well as JWF, and I do think this is favorable to move forward with.
Any questions from the commissioners regarding the Collins settlement?
Negative.
If not, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, from the county auditor, we have a proposal for an online portal.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
My
morning.
name's Carolyn Topolsky. I'm the plat room supervisor for the auditor. Sorry, I'm a little nervous.
No need.
I'm proposing to get a contract going with SPS Portals, so the auditor can store all their historical deeds and records available for the public. It's at $400 a month, and would like to get going on that as soon as possible. If you have any questions, let me know.
Not really a question, I would just note that we have made some changes to how we store documents, and this fills a gap, if you will, is my understanding.
Right, right.
And just for clarification, we have never had this, St. Joe County's never had this in the past, not to the extent that you're going to be doing now.
Not to the extent. Now, the surveyor's office has actually been the first in the county, as far as I understand it, to
That
have a
would be,
portal.
Surveyor Krasinski has done all that?
would be Mr. Krasinski.
All right,
I believe
okay.
it came under Mr. McNamara, but Mr. Krasinski has definitely pushed more historical files out there.
Okay.
And so that would be in tandem with exactly what they do. In the plat room, we run all the historical files for transfers, plats, old properties. So we actually helped with the Portage Manor deeds, trying to find deeds. So these kinds of records are important to people who are sitting on their couch at night and are doing it as a part-time job. You know, I'm not available, but the files can be.
No, thank you. Like in the last couple of years, St. Joe County's really stepped up their game from this to the assessor's office, all the other things that Frank Fortia is working on so people can get to the information and access it as opposed to coming down to this great building to find it there, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
Do we have a motion to approve the proposal for online portal through the auditor's office?
Motion to approve.
And I'd like to thank Surveyor Robert Krasinski for being the catalyst of all this, and I second that.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Oh, and I,
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, under new business, quite a few of you have expressed interest in the appointment to the St. Joseph County Library Board. Following last week's meeting, where quite a few comments were offered, we noted on the commissioner's webpage and sent out a notice to the press that it is our intention to take additional appointments or
applications.
applications, thank you, to the, for consideration. Those are due by the end of the week, this week, on the 15th at the close of business. They can be done either through an email with an attached resume, or for those people who still use snail mail, mailed or delivered to the commissioner's office. So because of all the interest in this particular matter, we added this to the agenda this evening, this afternoon, regarding the presentation regarding the St. Joseph County Public Library. It is our intention to ask a couple of questions, and then we will open it up. We don't normally take public comment on agenda items, but in this case, I think it's certainly warranted. After we have a short presentation Commissioner Dieter asked for, we will then ask 5 people who are in favor of Mr. Feldbaum's reappointment, and 5 people who have a different opinion to express their opinion. I would note that during public, because it is an agenda item, we will not entertain additional comments during public comment. I think we will hear everything we need to hear during the presentation. So with that, Commissioner Dieter.
Sure, thank you. Stephanie, could you come to the podium, please? We need your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Stephanie Murphy, 304 South Main Street, St. Joseph County Public Library, where I'm
Okay.
the executive director.
And your current role at the library is?
Executive director.
Okay. Just getting just some further information that people may or may not know. The role of your library board consists of what?
Sure, so there's 4 really state, outlined in state law responsibilities of a public library board. The first one is to hire a qualified library director who manages the day-to-day operations of the library. The second one is, of course, fiscal oversight. The third one is to develop broad policies. And the fourth one is long-range and strategic planning. Now, the state library also asks library board members to advocate for the library. That one's not statutorily required, but it's something the state library asks library board members to do.
Okay, so the library board, members of the library board do not pick what books go in the library?
They do not. We have a staff of master's degree librarians who select books for the library, and one of our missions is to provide books from all perspectives. So that means every day at the library, we're buying books that we personally agree with, that we personally disagree with. We buy books for majority viewpoints, minority viewpoints, and we just try to make sure we're hitting all of those different ideas, because that is foundational to the work that public libraries do, and it's really foundational to democracy.
Okay. Does the library board tell you where to place books in the library?
The library board does not. We make decisions. Again, that falls under that day-to-day operations of the library that is tasked to the library director. We make decisions on where books go based on publishers. They tell us who the book was written for, right? Who is the intended audience? And sometimes we review those ourselves and determine that is the correct audience. By and large, we don't read books, so we're basing it on publisher recommendations, on reviews, and who the author intended the audience to be.
Okay, so if someone has a complaint of a book that's obscene or offending, does the library board review that complaint?
Sure, so I just want to clarify that there are standards in state law that determine and identify what obscene material is, and we do not have any books in the library that meet those obscenity laws. There are books that people find personally offensive, and those books they can request a reconsideration of, and then we have a 3-person committee consisting of those master's degreed librarians who did not purchase the book. They read the entire work because it's very important that we don't judge a book based on a sentence or two, and they read the entire book and they determine whether that book belongs in the library and whether or not it's in the appropriate place in the library.
Okay, and then, I understand all that part, and do you know about approximately how many books y'all have there?
Sure, we have about 500,000 books at the library.
Okay. It'd be 500,000 for your edification.
Yes,
Attorney,
that is correct.
Gotta keep them in the loop.
Well, we librarians do a lot of reading, and so sometimes we have to think harder
Right.
about the
So
math.
in the event that, about every month, how many complaints do you get that someone is offended or,
We probably get a couple a year,
okay,
and we
gotcha.
haven't had one in months.
Okay. In the genesis of this explosion of we need to not reappoint somebody to the board, how did that start? And what was it about? What's the subject matter about?
Sure, so it started with a complaint about a book titled This Book is Gay, which was written for teenagers, and it has a wide, and that did go to the reconsideration committee. They read the entire book. Only a part of it is about physical intimacy. The rest of it is other topics related to LGBTQ life. And so that committee determined that this book did indeed belong in the teen collection. The people who complained did not agree, so then it went to the board, and the board really determines, did we follow the policy that they set in reconsidering the book? And they determined that we did, in fact, follow our policies. And so they supported our leaving the book where it was. Those are the people who are complaining about the current appointments to the board. They are in our experience, what we've seen at our board meetings, they're a minority. I think the first board meeting after that initial complaint, we had 125 people attend our board meeting. 23 speakers, 6 spoke in support of moving the book, and the other 17 or 18 spoke in opposition to moving the book. So that's sort of where all of this started. We do know that there's a lot going on around the country in this. In Arkansas, the state tried to mandate what was in the teen collection on some of these topics. It was overruled in federal court. In Texas, the legislature tried to require publishers to rate books for children before they were put in public school libraries. The federal courts also overturned that. Also, here so those are sort of the legal things that are happening around this. And then here in the state of Indiana, in Hamilton County, this year they tried to, or the library board did enact a collection development policy that was quite restrictive for children's books. The estimated cost of enacting that was $300,000 of taxpayer money in order to have librarians read the book and determine whether or not they followed these very strict guidelines in that collection development policy. As a result, authors like John Green, who is a best-selling author who lives in Indianapolis, promotes Indiana all of the time, wrote a letter to the Hamilton County Public Library Board because one of his books was moved from the teen collection. He said, none of my books have ever harmed teens, and this is just bad for business because people don't want to move in and work in and live in communities like this. That letter to that board, talking about the economic impact that this would have in Hamilton County, went viral on Twitter. And as a result, that board had resignations, and they ended up overturning that collection development policy that was along these lines of what you could have in a teen collection. So I think there's a small group of people who want these sort of policies. I don't think it's the majority, and they're not getting legal support, and they're not getting popular support, because we all know that free people read freely, and part of that freedom is the choice whether to read the book or not read the book, and you just don't have to read the book if you don't like it.
Very well spoken. Yeah, that's the only other questions. We'll follow up with President Baxmeyer. My own personal opinion, like you allude to, is free society. You have the right to go read, believe what you want. I'm not going to tell you to or not. I think it's a complete overreach what some of our council members are attempting to do. If you don't want it, then don't go look at it. If your child, don't let your child look at it. They can see more stuff on this stupid thing than they can in a library and do it at any time. So we will, and Carl explained the process of that, but my opinion, this is America. You should be able to read, do what you want to do, read what you want to read, believe in what you believe in, but to attempt to ban or stifle or prohibit something where you guys have all the provisions, if it does need to be taken away, or if it's obscene, pornographic, you guys already have that.
Sure, and I just want to state again, we do not have pornographic materials at the
Right,
library.
I'm just saying for the sake of
Yes.
the arguments of that, and you have that, and it's not the board's responsibility to do all the logistical aspect of what y'all do in
Correct,
the library.
correct.
They're an advisory, and then I'd like to thank Mr. Napoli for laying the groundwork for this years and years ago, which was a compliment, by the way, and the library and all the branches. The library and all the branches are a great asset to this community, and we, or at least myself, and I think the commissioners all appreciate what y'all do. So
Thank you,
I don't have any further questions at the present time.
thank you.
We appreciate your presentation. I had the pleasure of meeting you and knowing you when you were with New Carlisle,
Correct, yes.
and come to the library quite often. That is a tremendous asset, as Derek said, to our community. The expansion and
Thank you,
what it affords the community is outstanding.
thank you.
Having said that, thank you. As I said at the start, we want to
Thank you.
offer people who are in support
Thank you.
of Mr. Feldbaum's reappointment. 5 people, please don't stampede the podium. But
Just 5, so get up there quickly.
and you're limited to 3 minutes.
No pushing.
Thank you, Tom. He came to the office yesterday, and I told him he had the privilege of the floor, and I'll clarify that.
Well, hold on a second.
Good morning. Deborah Fuda, 59866 Myrtle Road, South Bend, Indiana. I am the previous executive director of the library, in between Don Napoli and Stephanie. And Stephanie just kind of told you very beautifully what libraries are all about and how we select materials. And I do know that all 3 of you are supporters of the library, so I thank you for that. I just want to say I've known Alan Feldbaum for many years through his work for the library as a bond attorney, and then through his work as a board member. And it's a little sad that we've come to this part. I think that is in question because of some of the things that have taken place at the public library meetings in the past few months. But the freedom to read is one of our greatest freedoms, and public libraries do their very best to provide the widest diversity of views and expressions. And that doesn't mean, as Stephanie told you, that a library endorses every point of view, but they do make materials available for children and parents to make their own choices. It also means, as I think of it, the libraries have something that offends everybody for some reason. Libraries don't assume the responsibility that rightfully belongs to a parent or a guardian. We expect those people to guide children in their reading habits, and along with teachers, to prepare children to meet the diversity of things they're going to find in life. Values differ, but to begin to chip away at a person's freedom to read and communicate by limiting their access, the access to thought and expression, is an erosion of our democracy. I urge you to reappoint Alan Feldbaum to the library board because he's a qualified, effective, and engaged board member who believes in and adheres to the tenets all public libraries practice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Cynthia Heckman Davis, MD, 125 Gemini Lane, Walkerton, Indiana. I'm here today at the request of a librarian. You're taking applications and CVs of those interested in being your appointee to the County Library Board. At least 2 commissioners must interview applicants. That's fine with me. I think that's good. The open door law requires that the interviews of prospective appointees be open to the public. In your appointment to the library board, you need to choose someone who has regularly attended library board meetings, someone who will have the best interest of library patrons and the library's future in mind, rather than their own self-interest. I request that you reappoint Alan Feldbaum to the County Library Board. Mr. Feldbaum checks all the boxes to be reappointed. He wants the job, and you presumably have interviewed him or will interview him. He was first appointed by a Republican commissioner, Dr. Fleming. He has years of library experience and contacts. He has wisdom about the library board and has served previously as its president. Most importantly, he very clearly cares about our libraries and library patrons, including our children who come to the libraries. In short, the librarians want Mr. Feldbaum, and the public wants Mr. Feldbaum. I can't imagine a more highly qualified candidate for this library board position than Alan Feldbaum. Thank you.
Thank you.
Folks, let me just interject here. Please hold your applause. That's not really fair to people who may have a differing point of view. I don't want them applauding if somebody has a differing point of view. Let's listen to the people who are speaking and have respect for everybody's point of view.
My name is Joanne Westerhausen. I live at 52346 Spring Arbor Court in Granger. We are so fortunate to have a wonderful library, public library in our community. Unfortunately, it is under attack from those who want to control what our community and our families read. I understand you have rejected the library's request to reappoint current board member Alan Feldbaum to its board. I also understand that this rejection is based on the objections of a council member, a right-wing extremist who also thinks inclusion and equity reflect Marxist ideology. And you have opted to open up this position to applications. I find this extremely interesting since you recently avoided an open application process for other board appointments, such as the 3-year appointments to the newly created Redevelopment Authority Board. I am asking that you reappoint Mr. Alan Feldbaum to the Library Board. He was appointed by you 4 years ago and has done an exemplary job gaining the respect of his fellow board members and library staff. All of his decisions take into account what is good for the entire community, including children. Please reappoint Alan Feldbaum to the Library Board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Rose Meisner. I live at 1751 Portage Avenue, apparently across the street from the original location of the Navarre Cabin. Learn something new every day. In my day job, I'm with the Community Foundation of St. Joseph County, which is located at 305 South Michigan on the 3rd floor of the new Library Community Learning Center. The St. Joseph County Public Library System is among the best in the country. It is such a source of community pride. It's because of the high regard we hold the library in that we proposed a partnership a few years ago to add a 38,000 square foot community learning center to the library. And we partner with the library across every different possible topic. So I want to say that after 30 years with the Community Foundation, I do also understand the importance of a good board of directors. And I've never seen a more obvious choice than Alan Feldbaum. It's not just his experience, his integrity, his dedication to this cause, but he also has a very important specialized knowledge that is very valuable to an entity like the St. Joe County Public Library. So I have to say I'm heartened by some of the comments that you made, Commissioner Dieter, and nodding heads from the other. I hope we're preaching to the choir in terms of supporting Stephanie's excellent original statement. And I unequivocally support Alan Feldbaum, who I've known for many years, as an outstanding choice. He's the kind of person I feel grateful is willing to serve the public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Henneke. I live at 723 Park Avenue in South Bend, and I also work at the St. Joe County Public Library. And thank you for your time today, and thank you for everyone who's been willing to stand up here and speak. I would like to voice my support for Alan Feldbaum's reappointment to the library board. His experience and resume speak to his unique qualifications to sit on this board, and his years of prior service on the board speak to his dedication and his impact. But the real point that I would like to make today is that a community-minded, qualified, and effective board makes an impact on the quality of service that we can provide at the library. We have an enviable library system in our community. I've had people who have moved away tell me how much they miss our library. And we've received requests for people who have moved away asking if they can continue to receive service from our library system because the town where they, or city where they moved to just does not have as good of a library as we have. We've received letters from people telling us that when they have visitors in town, the library is one of the first places that they bring them. And most importantly, we know that an excellent library system is one of the reasons that individuals and families move into a region, and ours especially. Great libraries aren't created in a day or a year. It takes years of service and care. And one of the reasons that we have an excellent library system here today is because we have an effective board that supports the work of the library. And I emphasize today because it can go away very easily if we do not have that support. Mr. Feldbaum has been an integral part of our board and has pushed us to be the best library for our community. And it's for this reason, among all of the others, that he should be your appointee to the library board.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know we said 5, but I think we've reached that. Does anybody wish to offer a differing opinion?
Joe Lane, 25638 North Liberty, State Road 4. Didn't plan on speaking today, but I do disagree with the opposition to certain content being accessible to minorities, as your minors, is misleading. I think there's a good chunk of the population who are concerned with what's being taught and what's accessible. I think the fact that the board was monolithically opposed to concern over an individual book to just be relocated shows a lack of balance on that board to represent the public. I don't think one individual is going to change that, but I also think there's a lack of representation of those right-wing philosophies. I disagree with that terminology. I think those are folks that are typically very concerned about their community. I think it's time that we balance that library board. I think the council does have just as much say, not to appoint, but to give the opinion, whether they're a member of the council or not. I just am a little bit surprised that so much weight is given to one individual over such a simple issue of moving a book from one section to another of the library. As it was stated earlier, the library reviews for books for whether they are appropriate for the library. That doesn't mean if they deem them inappropriate that they're banned. Nobody's asking them to remove it from the library. They're saying, can we relocate it into another section? So I just think that we do need to put some balance on that board, and that's what I would do.
Well, at this point,
Okay. We're going to change direction again. I'm going to make a motion that we put Alan on the agenda to make a vote today.
So for clarity's sake, you're moving to add an agenda item, which is the appointment to the library board, to today's agenda.
That would be correct.
Is there a second?
Second, for Alan, right?
Well, we're just opening a appointment, the ability to do the appointment.
Right,
Okay. Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
for Alan.
For the appointment, just say aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you
Aye.
vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
no, but only because we had gone on record as saying we were going to take other applications. But it's,
Okay, so now we can
Open
consider
board.
it. So if you'd like to open nominations.
I will open the floor for nominations for Alan Feldbaum to the St. Joseph County Library Board.
I move for approval of Alan for the library board.
Do you second that?
I'll second that.
For clarity's
No
sake.
other
So, yes, are there any
nominations
other?
are closed. Now we will vote on reappointing Alan Feldbaum to the library board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries.
No, we still have business. Y'all don't have to go.
We will entertain public comments on other topics,
Non-agenda items.
non-agenda items. Thank you for the clarification.
Caruso, you have anything to say? Okay, cool.
None, then move to, is he
I
coming?
was
Does
just saying,
any-
Dan.
I think we have to,
Morning, Commissioners. Dan Caruso, 305 Compton Street, New Carlisle. Just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Are you taking privilege of the floor now?
Privilege of the floor.
or
I'm sorry.
Just
Okay.
non-agenda items, but
Non-agenda
yes.
items.
Non-agenda items. Thank you. Deborah Durrell, 21677 Autumn Road, South Bend. Thank you for your work today. That was very encouraging. I asked last week about the item report for the ethanol plant spill, and someone we had heard was going to show up and give that report, and they did not. So I took it upon myself to try to access that report. As you may recall, I think the most recent communication on that was November 11th. And I don't have all the information yet, but I do know that there were 14,000 gallons of spill into waters of the state. And the item report has numerous violations that they made, and they specifically stated that the assurances that they gave about their operation within the facility were not represented by the systems and the practices they had in place. I'm bringing this up because of the development that happened and is continuing to happen in the boards and commissions that review these proposals. When the ethanol plant came up for review, I believe most of the bodies, such as this one, did ask some pretty thorough and good questions of that plant owner. And that plant owner, I don't have the minutes in front of me, but I remember some pretty strenuous assurances that it was a modern, upgraded, highly technical, very responsible plant that was going in near the water. Now, the IDEM violations are so numerous, and there's so many pages, and I don't really know what all is considered waters of the state as far as the pollution. But the pollution went on over a few weeks, and in a couple of two separate, really dire kinds of examples. So I'm bringing this up for you and the public to encourage you to vet these projects ahead of time, and then also the hold them accountable after the fact. I'm not sure, there were a lot of people that were very skeptical and nervous about an ethanol plant near the water like that, and whether the pollution got into the Kankakee River, we don't really know yet. Anyway, like I said, I've contacted the people. It took quite a bit of work to do that. And I think the public needs to know not only how we sold the plant, but how it actually worked out. Thank you.
Charlotte Wolf, 21439 Osborne Road, Lakeville. I just want to commend the council, the commission, for working within the city and the county. And I would like to say that I would like to see the city and the county working much more closely with regards to especially industrial development. I don't quite understand the historical separation of government between the city and the county when it comes to development and land use. I would like to get a better understanding of that. But the working on the comprehensive land use plan, spending many hours on that, I came to understand that there is a break between the city and the county. Basically, the update for the county comprehensive land use plan was that the city was this big hole right in the middle. And as a scientist, I'm kind of analytical, and I could not understand why the city, being within the county, was going to be exempt from that land use plan. And I just really feel strongly that the county needs to take action to re-involve the city in all of this planning and industrial development and housing development and everything else that goes on around the county. Thank you.
Good morning, Cheryl Nix, 17901 Sable Ridge Drive, Clay Township. I feel like today's commissioners meeting was a great example of how wonderful government entities can operate when they have experts come in and give presentations to get the facts out there, when they hold public hearings on issues that are of concern to citizens. And I would love to see that model that we just saw today repeated numerous times by the commissioners. I think that's exactly what needs to happen to build public trust, to have us feel that we are part of government, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
So it's a win-win, win-win.
Hey, good morning, Commissioners. I'm Jamie O'Brien. I live at 15822 Cedar Ridge Court in Granger. I wanted to first commend the Commissioners for great work with the leaf pickup, which I know you don't have control over the weather, but leaf pickup went really good this year. And where I live in my subdivision, there are not very many leaves because the leaf pickup folks picked them all up. Had 4 passes. It worked really well. I can tell you that about 10 years ago, I was a county councilman and I was skeptical. It's working well now, so thank you. And also wanted to thank Commissioner Fleming. I understand you're retiring soon, so thanks for your hard work and effort over the years. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the room wish to speak? If not, we'll move to those online. I believe Steve F. has his hand up.
Yes, good morning, Commissioners. I too want to commend you for the public participation of last vote, although I won't speak to it directly. I think it bodes well. It's unfortunate that my county council member precipitated, I think, a lot of this in terms, and you conceded to her your authority to move forward, and I mean, it really kind of created your own controversy there. But I do appreciate you recognizing that when you have reappointments of people who have been really strongly involved in overseeing the interests of the public, as the gentleman was, and has expertise to offer, that those reappointments can go through. Personally, I want to bring up in this 3 minutes, though, something else. Oh, I'd also say it wasn't on the agenda, by the way. You added it to the agenda, and I do object to restrictions of the public voice just because of time constraints, and want to register that. But I do want to talk about the redevelopment authority because that was also brought up, but this is not, it was not on the agenda, which just met for the first time this morning. They are new appointments in a body that just voted to encumber the county with $50 million worth of bonds and to lease Cleveland, Timothy, and Adams Road in order to provide the underlying security for that bond and an asset, a firm asset. Those, I would like the gentleman who has bonding experience to be on that redevelopment authority, because the people you appointed are basically, in my mind, political appointees. You didn't interview them. You took a list from a county employee, I think, or someone, and appointed the chairman of the Republican Party, some anyway, some people who don't have any experience that I can see in bonding authority in public finance. And there are many of us in the community who have that experience, who would welcome the opportunity to provide that to the county. So when you have new appointments and you don't offer interviews, and you got sued on that before, or that was a new appointment earlier this year, you have a lawsuit filed yesterday on the redevelopment authority because you failed to follow your own policies. When there are new appointments and we don't know who these people are, it is very critical to interview them, to provide an open door to the public to see those interviews, and to have faith that the people making these $50 million decisions are in fact qualified to do so. So I appreciate your activities. I encourage you to, especially on new appointments, to follow what you intended to do on this reappointment of a very fine individual, but ended up dragging his name and others through the mud on that.
Your 3 minutes are up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else online? Excuse me. Anyone else online wish to offer a comment? Before we adjourn, I just want to add one thing. Comment was made regarding, well-intentioned, regarding the comprehensive plan. I just want to clarify that it was not the decision of the county to omit the city of Mishawaka or South Bend from that plan. As was offered, you're right. There is a hole, when you look at the intended map, which we are re-engaging. But that was a decision made by the cities that they didn't want to participate, not by the county. So I just want to clarify that going forward. Also, since our business is pretty well concluded for the year, we will meet next week on the 19th.
Community awards.
Community awards,
There you
that's
go.
right. The meeting, while it ordinarily would be in the evening because it's our third Tuesday of the month, similarly, the county council has moved their meeting to the evening of the 19th. So we will meet at 10 o'clock on the 19th. And guess I'm going to go ahead and announce it right now. Because our business will be concluded for the year, we will not be having a meeting on the 26th. Enjoy the holidays. Merry Christmas. And for some of you, we'll see you again next week. Do we have a motion to recess?
Second.
Commissioner Fleming, how do you vote? Commissioner Dieter, how do you vote? Commissioner Baxmeyer, how do you vote?
Aye. Thank you.
Recording stopped. On the 19th